I'm John Langston, and I worked 30 years on the state staff with the U of A Cooperative Extension Service. Everyone that worked for Extension had some 4-H assignment, but mine was for one little project that worked out of the state office with the counties on that particular project. But Mr. Vines was Director of Extension when I was hired, and I can't say enough good about the man. He's one of the most exceptional people that I ever met in my life.
He had the uncanny ability through his work career to put people in places, to study. You know, people have said that Arkansas was smaller then, but he was bigger then.
And he immediately, upon retirement, took on the responsibility for building a statewide 4-H center of some kind.
And Mr. Vines had the vision of getting buy-in from the people. And so 4-H clubs all across the state did many things, but the thing I remember most was selling chocolate bars to help raise money. And we sold chocolate bars by the boxfuls, but it worked really well for me because I took those to college, and you crack out a box of chocolate at 10:30 at night in a dorm and you can sell some chocolate.
We started looking for property. Mr. Vines was Presbyterian, and he was able to negotiate a deal with the Presbyterian Foundation to purchase this property, which is adjacent to the Ferncliff Camp, which is a Presbyterian facility. 225 acres originally in the negotiation. Well, to tell you what this property looked like when we bought it, there was no bridge over the creek to enter. You had to drive through the creek to get in here. There was one old house trailer sitting down here on the property and a little pond that was about a ½ acre. The people that lived in the trailer were buying fish and putting in the pond and charging people to fish in it. So that's what we had to start with. It was very, very rough. The original thoughts on building a center was a camp. Mr. Vines' thinking moved from a camping facility or a marginal facility to being sort of a mini convention center. The other thing with that was, when 4-H kids were not using it, they weren't going to be able to use it all the time. We could rent it to our friends in companies and businesses and what have you, to have meetings out here, and that would help support the financial operation of the center. When we first built out here, we built the major part of the facility down here where the offices are and the cafeteria is, which doubled as an auditorium. And we knew that that was not the most desirable situation, but that's what we had funding to do. And we had the first wing of lodging units. Well, it was in a very short time after that that we realized we didn't have enough lodging, so we built the second wing of lodging units down there. But from there to what you see now is what we developed. We drilled wells, we built a sewer plant, first-class operations, both of them. We hired engineers that were qualified to do that. I was not qualified to do sewer plants. We hired architects to design the buildings. We had 2 different architectural firms that worked on this facility, and I'll call their names, Wittenberg, Deloney, and Davidson in Little Rock. And then when we did the second phase of construction, it was AMR Architects, Rick Redden. I
attended the initial opening of this dedication of the center on October 18th, 1980, as an extension agent, young agent, 4-H agent in Pulaski County. And so it was such an honor to see this come to be. And of course, the center was built in phases so that we would not go into debt, and which was also extremely visionary. And there were so many people and organizations in Arkansas that were instrumental in making this happen. And Farm Bureau is one of those who's been with us every step of the way. Mr. Arnold Berner and everyone from him to Warren Carter, everybody in between has been there and helping us through all of the phases of that.
When we opened in 1980, we did have a grand opening, and it was just a wonderful thing. I mean, you just, I've got to tell you now, this is one of the most significant things that I was ever involved in my life. Now, I've got family and I've got kids and grandkids, and we have a farm that we inherited from my parents, but this facility is a magnificent facility, and I don't care who you compare it to in the United States for the type of facility that it is and its intended purpose. And you just sit there just, you know, boiling over with pride.
It's a setting that is iconic in and of itself, and it's charming, it's approachable, it's just a spot where some really, really good things have happened over time.
I'm Mike Klump, retired associate professor, 4-H and youth development. Today we're here at the Excel program facility, which is the Arkansas Outdoor Leadership Challenge program. And we started that program back in, I think, 1985. We started construction on the facility. We surveyed and looked around and found this location based on where would be the best location for that zip line. And then from that, we kind of decided what kind of elements we're going to put into the ropes course. And our first ropes course with the high elements that we're sitting in right now had 14 high ropes course elements. And we got that constructed, and we started construction in late January of '86 and completed the ropes course challenge program, the facility part of it, there in February. Got that done, and our first group to go through was a group of our state 4-H officers and ambassadors. And of course, we had a few faculty members that went through with them that day too. And that was our first group in March of '86.
I remember going through the ropes course in 1986, thinking, this is amazing. I've never experienced something like that. It was the first challenge course in the state.
I was brainstorming ideas for what are we gonna call this program. So I get the dictionary and I'm looking for key words and stuff. And you know, and I looked at the word Excel, and I said, well, let's go with experience the challenge, experience leadership. E small x, then capital C, capital E, capital L, Excel. And that was our name. We wrote a grant. And since then, there's thousands of people that have gone through the Excel program. It's I think it's rated as one of the best leadership programs in the state of Arkansas, and actually, I always brag that it's one of the best leadership programs in the South, basically. And with the groups that go through that. Everything we do is challenged by choice, you know. You're not forced to do anything you feel uncomfortable with. We just want you to do the best that you can. Make that commitment to do that, and we're gonna be there to support you in your decisions. Of course, you know, we're teaching those key leadership life skills: communication, decision-making, teamwork, management to some degree, you know, and just feeling good about yourself. Those key leadership, I call leadership life skills, that are important. And this is just one of the programs, you know. It's just Excel is just one part of this facility out here.
But I remember the first time I came out here. It was 1985, and I came for a 4-H movie maker project, and it was like these huge VHS things. I remember being really impressed, thinking, that's the largest indoor facility I've ever seen. That's amazing. And it was so much fun. Then I came back for ATV safety when they had 3 wheels, not very safe, but anyway, it was fun. And camps, several camps, and every chance I got to come to the 4-H Center, I wanted to come there because it was always just a special experience, and I met kids from all around the state. So I've been here 21 years, started out in programming, and got to watch thousands of people have an experience that they'll never forget. A lot of leadership programs come out here to us, and they do it because it accelerates the bonding process. Any kind of group you can imagine has been out here. You name it, religious, we've had quilting groups, we've had tons of camps, we've had Taekwondo Association, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. If you can think of a type of group, they've met out here. But I didn't really realize that how much of an impression this place had on a national forum. So in 2004, I was at the Kansas 4-H Center for a national 4-H conference. And there was an old timer there, you know, when we were all introducing ourselves. And he said, "Oh, Arkansas 4-H Center, the 4-H Center." So at that point, I kind of like, wow, didn't realize that. One of the best assets is that we are part of the University of Arkansas, because they've been a great support, and it really couldn't be what it is without the extension service anyway. But it's been a great partnership. And now it's, even though I was impressed as a kid how big it was, now it's about at least 3 times the size, and so we can provide more opportunities for more people. But it's a special place.
It's a training venue for adult groups who come here, and I think JJ's probably the one that coined the phrase that you stay here as an adult to give back, to support kids. It's a place where kids come, that they remember their first camping experiences, they remember their first involvement with other kids, they remember what they learned, what they did, how they grew. There isn't a kid that comes here that doesn't go away a little bigger.
Kids, you know, when they come to camp, it's not what they have experienced at home, and this is their chance to kind of be who they really are. And so it's a special place for me.
It's the one thing that almost every young person who came out here to 4-H camp will tell you, this is their second home. This is home.